eres tú, perfecto, incomparable, clásico de flores.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today. This is Carlos Phoenix with the Indie Lounge, and I do have a special guest. She is Cuban, she is Latin, she is beautiful, and her name is Giselle. Giselle, thank you very much for coming to the show. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, Carlos. Thank you so much for that great introduction. My name is Giselle Gastell, and I'm a Latin singer, as Carlos was saying, in the pop genre, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you very much for coming. So you're in Atlanta.
Yes, I am.
And you've been doing a lot of interviews, been presenting yourself out and getting yourself out there into the public, the Latin market, and which is fantastic. And so let me just do some audio adjustments here. My apologies.
Sure.
And so tell me a little bit about yourself and what you've been doing. And I guess let's go into your background. Where are you from?
I'm born and raised in New Jersey with Cuban parents, so obviously I identify as Cuban. And I'm very proud of my roots. Obviously, I'm singing in Spanish. I'm writing in Spanish as well as English. So I have some bilingual tracks. I have mostly Spanish tracks, though, and it's been really fun and exciting to do what I'm doing and make my dream a reality right now, singing.
Very cool. So I did hear your song.
Yes.
Well, let's introduce your song for a second. Give us the name.
Sure, it's called ESTUPIDA CANCION, which translates to stupid song.
Stupid song. Well, we're going to get into the little story behind that in a moment. But tell us a little bit about your background. How'd you get into singing and stuff?
Yeah, well, I always knew I loved music, and it was my passion. So at the very young age of 5, I started taking singing lessons because I was basically driving my parents crazy is what it comes down to, because I was singing everywhere at all times and not letting them breathe. So they said, we better put her in some classes so she can develop technique. And she's not a bad singer, so hopefully this goes well. And since then, I've been singing my whole life. I've done a lot of musical theater. I studied also musical theater and acting at Lee Strasberg in New York. And then now I've begun singing professionally a little over a year ago.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Now, did somebody find out about you? How did you get into the whole music production portion?
Basically, I started looking for people that were doing what I wanted to do, which was making music. So I was fortunate enough to make some contacts and start writing with other artists and really developing myself as a singer and a songwriter. And thankfully, I've been able to grow so much in a little time.
Cool. Now, did you start looking for people in Miami, or did you just decide to say, you know what, I know there's plenty of people here in New York? Where did you start kind of looking for that? And what do you do? Do you just go to Google and say, hey, music producers? How does that work?
Well, through people, I was able to make some contacts, and then they introduced me to a gentleman who then introduced me to a songwriter. It all becomes a matter of introduction, and I was fortunate enough to work with some great talent so far, and most of them have been in Miami, actually, even though I'm from New Jersey, and there's plenty of talent in New York and New Jersey as well. There's just talent everywhere, and it's exciting to work with new people and make that connection with them.
That's cool. So you decided to go Latin, which is cool.
Yes.
And tell us in the production of this first album, what type of what did you think as a mission, as far as I want to make this album about this? Some artists write about themselves, experiences, just beauty and love. I mean, what kind of things are what you focusing on this particular album?
Well, for me, it was really important in the Latin market to give a feminine voice, because I feel like there's not always that strong feminine young voice that is audible on the radio and really speaking for women. And I really wanted to bring that message in my songs. So a lot of my songs are about, for the independent woman type of vibe, which I think is important to put out there and really represent women of our generation that are doing great things on their own with or without a man by their side. So I really wanted to put that out there.
Fine. I'm just kidding.
Oh, Carlos, with or without, there's the option.
That is true. Well, that's very cool. Now, there's a lot of women, the Latin market has a lot of powerful women that are extremely independent. and that represent, I think, basically what you're talking about. Are there any ones that inspire you in particular?
I think somebody that really inspired me was Shakira, also Natalia Jimenez from La Quinta Estación, the band, and also now she's a solo artist. They not only have beautiful voices, but they also have really strong, powerful messages in their songs, and they have their own unique style, which I really appreciate.
So, okay, now let's go into the song. Now, you have two songs. The first one is what's the name of the first one?
The first song I released was Miénteme, which I released about a year ago. It was on the billboards, Latin billboards.
Nice.
Did really well. I was very fortunate with that. And then now we have the new project coming out, and the lead single off of it is Estúpida Canción.
Now, tell us a little bit about the purpose of the first one. Like, what was that one about?
The first one, I was really inspired by a friend of mine that this happened to, that she knew that, the person that she was with was cheating on her, but she wanted to pretend to be oblivious and just say, okay, just keep lying to me and I'll believe your lies and I'm just going to ignore what's going on. So I was really inspired by that story because I saw it in my friend, but I also saw it in a lot of other relationships throughout the years. So I said, this is something that, is happening. So I was inspired by that.
Okay, cool. Very nice. Now, what about the second song, the infamous now stupid song? Now, from when I've heard the song, it's a beautiful song, and we're going to play it in a moment. But tell us a little bit about the background of that song.
Sure. Well, I started working with a great talent called Alfredo Mateos, and we got into the studio, and we just totally loved the idea of writing a song called The Stupid Song. So we worked really off of that. And the theme is that I'm in a relationship, and like all relationships, they start out great. Everything's perfect. And the guy has me believing that he's, my knight in shining armor. But of course, then I find out that the song that he dedicated to me, he's also dedicated to 32 other women.
Holy cow.
We couldn't do one or two. It had to be 32, because we're Latin, so we exaggerate everything in the world. And then that song becomes a stupid song, the one that he dedicated to me. Yeah, that's where the title comes from.
Okay. Well, no. Okay, so you said this is based on a real guy?
No.
Come on.
No, I mean, fortunately, I haven't had that experience. Imagine 32 other women.
Well, yeah, that's a little. Now, isn't that a little extreme?
Those kind of guys do exist,
Well,
those guys.
Yeah, I guess if they're millionaires or something, 32 women. How do you even date that much? It just doesn't even make sense.
Who has the time? Who has the time for that?
Yeah, that's like one every. That's like one every day, just about.
More, really.
Well, yeah, but yeah. How do you? I will see you next month, honey. I'll be away, honey, for a month because
I'm gonna go on a work trip for a while now. I guess they just do
crazy.
that every day.
You can't even Facebook that many people. That doesn't,
Maybe he just has like a lot of coffee dates all the time. He's like, one right after the other. Like, I'm gonna meet with you from 3 to 4.
Okay.
Eras tú, perfecto, incomparable, clásico, de flores y otros detalles. Sin temor caí en las redes de la ilusión. En un mes ya nos estábamos mudando. Descubrí entre cajas tu diario. No lo quise abrir, pero me venció la tentación. Y vi que tu canción de amor la dedicaste a otras 32. No quiero ya escuchar
So there's a scene in the video with the guy gets a message on the phone. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
And you just have this face of like, I was waiting for that.
Yeah, because at that point I realized that he's been cheating on me. So I'm like, all right, there it goes. We're going to get revenge. It's time to, start working it out.
Wow. Yeah, and he's just
yeah.
he's just like, well, first of all, he's more handsome than I am, younger and all that stuff. But I realized he had the scruffy look like I have right now, and then he had the light eyes, and I'm like, I don't have 32 girlfriends. So, okay. But for a second I got nervous. I'm like, wait a second.
You're like, is this song about me?
No.
No, I'm kidding. The shifty eyes. Oh, no.
Okay, so, I didn't even put the camera on me. I was like, yeah, she's able to see me, guys. You can't see me all the time. So, all right. Now, I'm going to also, I do have already the song on our website, theloungenetwork.com. It is on our homepage.
Awesome.
And I'm tearing apart my studio here. And so if you guys want to see it, check it out. It's also, obviously, you just saw it on our show. But if you just want to see it and show it off to some friends, please share it. It's a great song. She has a beautiful voice.
Thank you.
Both in Spanish, and hopefully we'll hear some videos in English. So, but what's next? What's your next project?
Well, I'm still finishing up the album. So right now we're promoting the single, which will be out in iTunes in about 2 weeks. But we're still working on finishing the album, which will be out in 2015. And right now we're just really busy traveling and obviously doing great interviews like with you, Carlos, and other places. So from here, we're going to go to North Carolina, South Carolina. Just finished up in the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, all the Northeast, New York, Philly, Washington, D.C., been in Orlando. So every day.
And this is all independent.
Something new.
You're completely independent, and you're doing all this. That's amazing to me. Now, I cover a lot of independents, and to be able to accomplish that much of a tour to get your stuff out there is impressive.
I've been fortunate to work with some really great people. My promotional team is fabulous, and they all have wonderful experience doing this, and they're leading me in the right direction, which I'm very happy about.
Well, that's awesome that you're getting this kind of backing, and I'm glad that you're able to come to my humble little show, and present your music to us. Now,
of course.
What seems to be the theme of your next song or your next music projects?
Right. Well, I think my next song is going to be a little bit more cheerful. So maybe not as anti-relationship. This one I think is going to be more of a love song.
You're like a Latin. What's her name? Oh my God.
Adele.
No. Well, I was thinking more. No, the voice. No, the voice. No, the one who's always bitter about Taylor Swift. She's always bitter about the exes and stuff. So. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I mean, I like all of those artists. So, I mean, she writes some very, very catchy and great tunes. But I think relationships are a thing that everybody has and can relate to. So it's easy to draw inspiration from so many sources on that subject. Mm-hmm. So I'm always inspired to write new songs about it.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Now how's your family, feeling about this whole tour and going around everywhere?
They're actually super supportive. I'm very fortunate that my family has been as supportive as they are, and they just really want things to go well for me, and they believe in me, which is like so important, because to have that backing from your family means everything.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Sometimes it could be your breaking point if the family doesn't back you up. Or if you have a relationship where the person's not backing you up, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I think that is probably all the questions I want to bombard you with, because I know you've had a very busy day. And I've seen your Facebook. If you guys, if you notice down at the bottom, you'll see her Facebook and her Twitter. Please follow her and see her adventure as it's happening, where she's touring. And if you look at her Facebook, you'll see the adventure is pretty grand. She's in like all the major radio stations, the Latin stations, and they're really showing a big backing and support on her music. So, of course, if you heard her voice, you can tell why. And all right, well, that ends our episode. That ends our show. Thank you very much, Giselle. And I do appreciate you coming to the show. You've been extremely wonderful with us on the show. And I do want to keep following you, as well as I do want to catch up with you. As you can tell, you can be anywhere in the world, and I can still get a nice, smooth interview with you.
Definitely. So, I love this. And this is, as I told you earlier, this is my first Skype interview. So I was awesome. Super excited.
Excellent. And I appreciate
many more.
So this would be another great way of just marketing yourself, letting people know where you are and stuff like that. So I'm more than happy to do little status videos like this and let people know what's going on and, you know, where you're performing and that type of thing. So if that's good with you, it'd be good with me. And we'll set it up with our friends on your end.
Definitely. I would love that. So thank you so much. And of course, obviously social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everything, Giselle Gastell. I love keeping in touch with my public and my fans. So hopefully people will follow and continue watching the journey.
Well, thank you very much once again. And ladies and gentlemen, please, keep watching the Indie Lounge. I'm going to always be introducing new artists and artists that are just making major moves. And it's, tapping all under your nose. So just know that all this talent is happening, and it's not in the big radio yet, but all these artists are bound to be somewhere where you can find them and listen to them. So have a great day, have a great week, and keep following the Lounge Network and the Indie Lounge. There's going to be much more to come. Have a good night.